Definitely there are these challenges when we talk about this transition, let's say green transition and making products more durable, and we definitely we need to be extra careful, and that's why we need this kind of assessments, impact assessment before we introduce a certain law, especially like in EU at the EU level or the national level, to ensure that we actually minimize this negative effects of a certain intervention. And indeed, these things actually can happen. Depends on the business model of a company, of the technologies that they have. The global competition is something that is a challenge, because we can regulate our own. We can choose regulation in our countries, but what about other countries that not necessarily have the same standards as we do? So I mean, then again, it's like a similar to general question durability. We should also generally be careful about this and assess what are the impacts, the social impacts on our jobs, and also on the innovation itself. Maybe just to then reflect on the innovation. That is true that if any short life cycles are can lead to innovation, but that doesn't mean that innovation is necessarily only dependent on that. You can introduce innovation because of other things. And for example, if you have service-based business model, you may produce less because one product can be used by a number of users. But then if this product is used, it's used longer. Basically, it can be used 24 hours a day. And think about like a car, which is shared. It is used most of the day, but while if you own your own car, most of the day it's collecting dust. So if you use this one car, it will probably reach its end of life phase sooner than your own car that you own. So that means that the company will need to produce a car with more efficient engine, for example, a new generation. So again, it depends on the case by case basis. It can hamper innovation, but that's where we need to be careful. But it can also be neutral, or it can support innovation cycles. When it comes to jobs, this is especially something to bear in mind now, given also the Corona crisis and the whole, let's say, the changing paradigms, where it arguably will be difficult economically. We are basically in a recession, or let's say we are entering into a recession that can be quite serious. So this is something that needs to be taken into consideration seriously, and the governments need to provide some kind of a support that can be, for, let's say, two dimensions. One is education and reskilling, and another dimension is basically providing some kind of a financial support. One thing to think about, which was more controversial before Corona crisis, but now it's a bit less, is universal income, for example. That could be a way to support at least certain categories of citizens that could end up without job and can't find another job immediately. And in industries where very specialized and so forth, this can happen for sure. So all of these things need to be taken into consideration. But people losing jobs, this is in the Corona situation, crisis situation, this is something that can occur regardless of the, let's say, environment-related intervention. There are other things also at stake. And I mean, there is a case for a public intervention to actually reskill the population that loses jobs, but also to provide some kind of a income support to enable this transition to unfold. In any case, I mean, now we have this emergency around Corona, but long-term priorities still are there. If we don't mitigate climate, we don't introduce climate action and measures to actually prevent climate change and global warming, we could end up in a similar crisis like we are in now. It can be another disease or floods or some conflicts or whatever. This is something that can happen again. So we need to think long term, and increasing durability of products is a way to think forward, because then we actually are reducing our emissions, reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, also pollution. And that is the way to ensure also that we avoid similar crises, for example, like the one we have now.